The trip to Indianapolis felt oddly short, even though it was only a 5-hour drive. Perhaps Form was getting used to traveling such long distances, because the trip went incredibly fast. Just a few days ago, 5 hours in the car, they would have sounded like a torture to her. Do we want to stop at a hotel to drop everything off first? Nia inquired, as she turned to the left green light. The museum closes at 4, Gus shared. It's now free now, so I don't think we'll have time. Where's the museum again? Nia inquired. Gus pulled out a map and quickly gazed it. Take another right turn to North Michigan Avenue and keep going straight. The museum should just come up quickly after that. Okay. Nia took another right turn as she approached North Michigan Avenue. I've never been to an art museum before, since we don't have one in Oak Haven, Luna commented. This will be cool. It seems pretty boring to me. I'd rather ratch be out in nature than look at dusty old artworks, Sam sighed. Yeah, I kinda agree, Dusk said. Oh, come on, you two. Where's your sense of fun and adventure? It's cool to see in the chaos of people's minds for their art, Bridget responded. I guess. I just don't see what the fun is about sharing artwork after artwork for hours, Dusk shrugged. Okay, here he is. The Newfields Museum, Nia alerted. The museum looked accommodative. There appeared to be 4 levels of the museum, and the walls were entirely made out of glass windows. 4 trees, with their leaves a bright color of the maroon, surrounding the outside of the museum, along with a few more shrubbish-looking trees to a side. The big banner was hanging across outside the building, which read, "Check out our Japanese Edo exhibit within the next 75 new scrolls." Wow, this is actually beautiful, Dusk gasped, as they left their tour van and headed to the museum. Once they had walked in, everyone had begun to split up and look at different pieces of art. Gus and Luna went to the left to look at the Japanese Edo exhibit. Dusk, Nia, and Sam headed for the exhibit upstairs, and Bridget and Thorne went to the right. Thorne admittedly was too thrilled at looking at the abstract painting, featuring an orange cup of coffee and a pencil that she hadn't noticed that Bridget were the only ones remaining together. She wished that it could have been just the others had gone, so she could have scurried over to them, and she supposed Bridget wouldn't risk confronting her when all the others come back at any moment. She would most likely be a lot more cautious than her recent mistake, which led to Thorne discovering her secret. Thorne had been studying abstract painting, trying to think what could have been best for the artist's head when they painted it. After a moment later, Thorne felt a tap on her shoulder. She spun around and it was the pink-haired associate. Oh hey, Bridget said in a sweet voice. I just wanted to check to make sure you were doing okay. You seem quite quiet today. Oh no, I'm fine, Thorne said, a bit shocked. How are you? I'm fabulous, Bridget chirped. You know, it's just those weeks where you're just all working out for me. Thorne shuddered. Bridget sweetly checking on her, making cryptic remarks, was honestly more terrifying than the aggressive confrontation she was expecting. Thankfully, Bridget didn't bother Thorne again at the museum, and it didn't seem that she wanted to take the normal route of taking things uncomfortable through anger. Rather, Bridget seemed like she wanted to physiologically confuse the hell out of there so that Thorne wouldn't know what to think anymore. Wow, this looks beautiful, Luna gasped as the van arrived at the park and everyone proceeded to get out. Almost as beautiful as the museum, Dusk said. That was actually more fun than I liked it to be. Well, I thought it was boring, Sam admitted. I don't know how you can just sit around all day and look at art forever. You would just have to take a moment to appreciate the art and talk about it, Nia responded. Dusk and I had a fun time discussing each artwork and what it meant. Maybe you would have too, if you wouldn't want to zoom around the place like it was already in the Indy 500. Okay, can we go to the Indy 500? We're in Indianapolis after all, Sam argued. That only happens once a year in May, Bridget rolled her eyes. Anyways, do you guys all want to split up and take a walk? I was thinking maybe it'd be nice for Dusk, Luna, and Thorne to spend some time together. They've hardly got a minute to spend time with each other since we left. Other than their hotel rooms that they're sleeping, I guess, Sam, Nia, and I can go in different directions. Well, what about Gus? Luna asked. Oh well, he can go with you free if that's okay, Bridget responded. Now Thorn was really confused. Why would Bridget suggest that she and Gus take a walk alone with Dusk and Luna? That seemed like the last thing Bridget would want, since it would provide a new opportunity to inform Dusk and Luna about Sam, Nia, and Bridget's true identities. Thorn still didn't know the exact of her mind control powers, but if they were able to read her mind at all, then will know about the dream, then they would most certainly be trying hard to read her and Gus's minds while alone with Dusk and Luna. Clearly the torture strategy Bridget was using was the power of confusing helplessly victims. Quite frankly, it was working. That's fine by us, Dusk said. Okay, we should plan to meet back here within an hour, Bridget offered. Sounds good. See you soon. Thorn waved. She immediately wondered if Gus would bring that secret up, but she figured that he was smart enough not to do that. It was super clear to her that Bridget was trying to set them up some way, so thought that she didn't quite know how. How are you doing, Gus? Luna inquired. Me? Gus asked, a bit surprised. Oh, I'm doing great. I'm glad, Luna smiled. I know the attention's on us and all, but we're the ones touring. But you've been so busy with setting up stuff, I wanted to make sure you were doing all right, too. That's really sweet of you, Luna. Gus appreciated. How have you been doing? You've seemed a little on edge this entire trip. Yeah, Luna sighed. I guess it's just that... Luna paused for a moment. It was clear that a slightly scrunched facial expression, that she was in deep thought, trying to ponder of how the best to answer Gus's question. After a few minutes of pause, she spoke again. I love the band. I love playing the music and sharing with everyone. Luna then took another brief pause, clearly trying to be thoughtful of her words while speaking. But I'm not sure if I like touring. Oh God, you're not quitting the band, are you? Dusk harumphed. No, nothing like that. Luna quickly backtracked. Thorn looked over at Gus for a moment, and she saw he had a bit of a stern expression on his face, immediately after Dusk made her comment. I love the band and writing music with you guys. I wouldn't give that up for the world. It's just so overwhelming. I'm not sure if I want that kind of life. Are you nuts? Dusk shouted. Like this is everyone's dream. People shouting our names, coming up to us and begging for autographs, and treating us like we're super important. Touring is pretty much just like basking in the fact that people love you. Now Thorn had a stern expression on her face. She was enjoying traveling and touring. It was meant to meet their fans, but everything Dusk had just screamed narcissism. Enjoying sharing your music with people was one thing, but blasting out your whole self on it was like Dusk was doing it and taking it too far. It felt like Dusk was getting lost in fame. Luna's face wore an unhappy expression as well. However, hers looked more discomfort. Thorn didn't blame her. Quite frankly, Luna had opened up her closest friends, only to be immediately shut down by it, because she simply didn't feel the same way about touring as Dusk did. Luna, let me assure you right now, everything you're experiencing is normal, Gus comforted. It is? Luna looked a bit surprised. You mean like I'll get used to it in a couple days? Well, you might. Gus looked like she was being cautious about choosing the words. And you might not. Feeling that seemed equally valid. Touring life isn't all about basking in fame and fortune for some, but it can be very stressful to put themselves out like in that. Performing you in front of thousands of people, some people get past it, and some people don't. There is nothing wrong with you with people that don't get past it. It just means you're not something that they put a value of. In fact, I'd argue that it's healthy to not put so much value on others of what they think of you, because you're only eventually going to be let down. You can't base on your worth of how others behave with you. Thorn felt all that fear around Bridget and emboldened her to confront Dusk. It felt like a good to invest her energy into another issue, rather than placing so much weight on an issue that felt all-consuming to Thorn at the most. Dusk, there's nothing wrong with Luna not enjoying the tour life. Just because you're enjoying it, and she doesn't make you better than her, Thorn challenged. I never said that, Dusk snapped. I was just surprised, that's all. Thousands of people are coming to listen to our music every night, so I guess I thought Luna would be a bit more excited about our newfound fame. Good, Thorn responded. Everyone enjoys a bit of things, and if that's okay, or maybe it's just overwhelming for Luna, and that's perfectly normal. Some people handle it better than others, and that doesn't mean Luna's weak for getting overwhelmed. You don't need to lecture me, Fawn, Dusk growled. I got the point. Anyway, are you enjoying the tour, Fawn? Gus inquired. We know Dusk loves it, and Luna's not sure, but haven't really talked about if you're liking it. I'm enjoying it for the most part, Fawn responded. I guess I get kind of nervous being up on stage in front of these people, and sometimes I feel like I don't know how to be myself. I want to like it, though. I'm glad, Gus smiled. I just want to keep watching how you feel and keep us updated. Like you said, there is no shame if your tour life isn't for you. This is a month long and a nice test for you all, and if you like it, you'd enjoy this kind of long term. Many artists tour for months at a time, so this shorter tour is a nice experiment for you all. Oh, thank gosh, we're only gone for a month, Luna exclaimed. I don't know if I can handle a tour that long. I'm enjoying traveling, but a new city every night is a little rushed for my taste. I can't imagine doing this for months. Fawn was really glad that they had this conversation. Dusk had obviously made her feelings very clear from the beginning. It was so much better to understand how Luna has been feeling, so she really enjoyed the bonding time with her best friends. As much as Fawn hated herself for thinking it, she almost just wanted to forget about what she learned last night with Bridget, and pretended like all this was really happening. It felt much less terrifying than accepting reality. It had been an enjoyable time with Luna and Dusk and Gus this afternoon. After the walk in the park, the two groups had made up for dinner at the restaurants named Ara's. They'd go and talk about the Central Canal, but they wanted to enjoy it during their daytime rather than night. Ultimately, Gus had suggested they return to the hotel to get to bed early, so they could be up earlier tomorrow enjoying going to the canal and zoo. However, Fawn knew exactly why Gus had recommended going to bed early, so that everyone would be sure to fall asleep early. And Fawn and Gus could sneak out without being noticed by Dusk and Luna, especially with Bridget, Nia, and Sam. There wasn't really a way to set an alarm without Dusk and Luna waking up, leading them to likely ask. Fawn was doing the wake in the middle of the night. She wanted to come up with an elaborate plan to assure that in the middle of the night to meet Gus, but she hadn't really think much of anything. She would be sure to drink several glasses of water at dinner time, plus right before she go to bed, so she could try to keep internalizing that she was not going to bed. She had been just taking a short nap before something important to do. Sometimes Fawn found if she was really anticipating something, the next morning her body would naturally wake up a few hours before she needed to. And it was really annoying for the black-haired goth when that happened. But perhaps just once, she could use it to her advantage, so she could either be over-anticipating the Kardarian rhythm, or use the urge to answer nature's call, would wake her up at the correct time. Sure enough, it was kind of both, well, kind of. Her sleepy eyes glanced at the clock to see it was 1:18, 42 minutes before she had to be up. She laid in bed for a while, then she had felt that she had to use the bathroom. At 11:34, as quiet as she could, Fawn slipped on her coat and snuck out of the bedroom, careful not to make a sound. Given the situation Fawn was in, she was quite surprised that she wasn't more antsy or feeling that the step of her chair into any danger. Quite frankly, she was trying not to think about it that much. The black-haired Hex girl shuffled through the halls and scurried down the door. She felt the frigid cold in the air as she walked outside. But nevertheless, she kept moving. She didn't stop to think of any sights. Everything was dark, and she already felt worry about me and Gus up there, in the middle of the night. So she just wanted to focus on the task, and rather than focus on the surroundings as she did. However, count each block as she went by. She glanced down at them. Most of them seemed like normal streets to Fawn, but there looked a lot of businesses. She did, however, counted each block as she went by, and glanced down at each of them. Most of them seemed like normal streets to Fawn, but they looked like they were to be businesses, which they were barely illuminated enough by the street lights. For Fawn was able to make out one were. One block was an alley. However, Fawn had incredibly grateful Gus hadn't asked to meet down there. There looked to be a plaza on one block as well. She did, however, wonder why Gus to choose the 12th block away from their hotel. There was a significance to it, or did he just want to pick some faraway block so that Bridget and the others wouldn't find them? She soon would find out, as this was block 11. Thorn shuffled to the next block and saw something that she quite didn't expect. A library. The street leading up to it appeared to be a broken street lamp, which was flickering on and off from time to time. It unintentionally added some creepiness of what already was terrifying journey for Thorn. She couldn't even remember the time being alone in the dark, waking up in the streets in the middle of the night. That was what was more even terrifying to her, is that she didn't see Gus anywhere. She didn't want to call for him and alert anyone where she was there, so she cautiously looked around a bit to see if she could find him and locate him. She eventually headed over to the library's front doors. The library was closed, of course, but she wondered if Gus might be hiding somewhere to make sure no one saw him. Psst! Someone's whisper from the shadows. Sally? Yes? Thorn stuttered. It was odd for someone to call her by that. So hearing that name in the dark street in the middle of the night was an epitome of fear for her. She gasped as she saw someone come out of the shadows falling in response. She quickly calmed down when she realized it was Gus. Sorry to be so cryptic, Gus apologized. Thank you for being so brave and meeting me here. Perhaps it's selfish of me, but I'm really happy that I'm not the only one that knows anymore. Yeah, I'm glad. So, I'm not the only one that knows either? That must have been scary, Thorn sympathized. It was, Gus admitted it. Could you believe that Bridget had split us up with Dusk and Luna this afternoon? Thorn cried in disbelief. I think she was testing us. Shh! Thorn, I'm sorry to do this, but we don't have time to process all aspects of every intersection that has happened. Gus's voice became more firm. Every minute we're out here, we're putting ourselves in danger. If one of those three catches us, we need to do this as quickly as possible. Sorry, Thorn apologized. Don't be sorry. It's okay now. I just wanted to meet you because I think we need to come up with a plan. I've been trying to do this for myself the past several months, but haven't been able to make of it. To make it harder for someone to read your thoughts whenever they can, Gus lightly chuckled. However, now that you know, I think we could figure out a way to get out of this situation alive. Thorn shuddered a bit. Trying to defeat them seemed like absolutely terrifying to her. She couldn't think of another possibility if they could read her thought. What if they were reading her thoughts right now when she was talking to Gus and knew her plan? How are we going to do this, though? Thorn defensively remarked. There's no way to defeat them if they know our every move. That's what I have thought. But you catching Bridget in your room, give me a hope that they're not as clever as I thought. If they could anticipate our every move, Bridget would have anticipated that, but she hadn't, Gus reasoned. It was a simple slip. There was no way to defeat them, Thorn gave up. She was just so caught up in digging through Dusk's stuff that she forgot to pay attention. But she won't make that mistake again. We don't know that, Gus pointed out. The situation felt hopeless to Thorn. There wasn't feel like any situation that could get them around the witches, being able to read their thoughts. It felt so much easier just to go along with the charade. She wouldn't be so worried if things weren't as the way they were before. She'd get to live her dreams, sharing music with everyone, touring the country, and just enjoying life. Maybe this crazy life, but what if we just pretend that none of this happened? Thorn asked. We don't know Bridget, Nia, and Sam are witches. We could just keep touring. Why not about something that we're not going to be able to stop? Who knows? We'll get lucky and they won't do anything. Gus started to chuckle. I hardly think the solution, this is just letting the witches do whatever they want to us. I'm serious, Gus, Thorn said. There's no way to stop them, so if we just pretend things are they are before, we won't have to constantly worried for our lives, and we'll be a lot happier. You know what I'm saying? Ignorance is a bliss. Thorn couldn't understand why you'd be panicked about this. Especially since you found out last night. I am too. However, we cannot just sit there and be complacent. I do not need to be killed, and I don't want you to be killed, and I don't want Luna or Dusk to be killed either. So there's no way to stop this, though? Why try? Thorn sighed. Her remarks gained more emotional as she began to speak. We have no option but to stop this. Gus's voice got increasingly firm. We don't know what they're planning, but it's sure as hell not peace and universe healthcare. These are evil witches that torture people. We know whatever they got in store isn't good, and they have threatened to kill the two of us. Thorn was getting even more worked up by the moment. Every muscle in her body felt like it tensed up in fear, as she felt like tears were swelling in her eyes. I'm sorry, Thorn, but we have to do something. And detaching from reality and pretending this never happened isn't, Gus sternly said, with hints of sadness and empathy sprinkled in his voice. Thorn started to breathe heavily. She couldn't feel that she couldn't do this anymore. All she wanted to do was to retreat the fantasy and be real again. The escape was difficult, which made the skepticism. No! Thorn shrieked. None of this has to be fake. I don't want it to be... I can make it real again. I refuse to believe that Bridget, Nia, and Sam are witches. The only thing I believe that things are the way they seem to be, and that's the way they've always been. I won't let you convince me otherwise.